What does it mean to flip a house? After this video, you're going to walk away knowing exactly what it means to flip a house and if it's right for you. Maybe you heard the term, but what does flipping a house really mean? In this video, I'm breaking it down. No jargon, just real talk for beginners. You're gonna learn how many ways you can actually flip a house. It's a lot more than you think. All right, so flipping a house does not mean getting down on all fours and grabbing a corner and actually flipping a house. That's not what it is. Hopefully by now you know what that is, but HGTV has really glamorized house flipping, and they make it seem like it's an easy thing. Within 30 minutes or 60 minutes, you can flip a house and make $100,000. That's not exactly what it's all about. There's a lot of ways that we flip houses, and again, my wife and I have done over 1,200 flips, and we still do over 100 deals a year, and we do multiple different types of flips, which I want to talk to you about in this video, so you can decide if flipping is for you or not. Some people specialize in any one of the 5 areas I'm going to give you. First, we call it contract flipping. Contract flipping is also known as wholesaling or assigning properties. And basically, it's when you put a house under contract and then you sell that contract, not the house, you flip the contract to another cash buyer for a profit. So for instance, if I found a seller that had a house they wanted to sell for $100,000 and I ran the numbers and realized that I could pay $100,000, I could sell that house to another cash investor who'd pay me $110,000 for the contract. And bottom line is that they could still flip it and do a full renovation flip and make $50,000 or $75,000. I make $10,000 for just finding the deal. It's literally being a deal finder. We didn't start doing this in our business till after about 400 actual renovation flips, which I'm going to cover in just a minute. We stumbled onto it by accident. One day I bought a house in a neighborhood, and as I was under contract, I got a phone call from a woman who said, "Glenn, I understand you bought the house on so-and-so street." I said, yeah, we're going to close in a couple weeks. She said, "I want to give you $5,000 more than what you paid for it." I said, "What?" I couldn't really understand what she was saying. I said, "Why would you want to do that?" She said, "Because I own 3 houses in that neighborhood that are rentals, and I want to own that one too." And I said, "Oh, how about $15,000? And she said, "No." And we ended up negotiating. I sold it for $12,000 over what I had it under contract for. And I walked away and said, I never owned the house. I never stepped foot in it besides when I looked at it the first time to buy it. Didn't do any work on it. Didn't put any of my own money in. Literally, at the closing table, she paid $12,000 for that contract for the right to buy that house. And that idea was born. Well, since then, that led to a part of our business that now, out of 100 deals a year, probably 65 to 70% are wholesale deals, where we market and find deals and sell to other cash investors as we cherry pick the next kind of flips for ourselves. The next kind of flip is an as-is flip. Now, these do not happen every day, but if you have a business looking for houses to flip, you will find a few of these a year, and we do. An as-is flip is literally as is. We have bought houses in the past that we have simply purchased, put back on the market, and sold for significant profit. Let me tell you about one. One time we had a gentleman that called us to want to sell a house, and I had a sales rep that worked for me. She went out and came back and said, he's willing to sell us the house for $75,000. I looked at the pictures and said, there's nothing wrong with this house. She said, I know, he wants out. I said, is he sane? And she said, he's a very smart guy. I said, I had to see and hear it for myself. So Amber and I drove to his house and met the gentleman. Very nice guy, and he walked around, and I said flat out, I said, sir, you can get a lot more than $75,000 for this house. Why would you want to sell it for $75,000? I have to ask. And he said, I'm 62 years old. I recently was divorced from my wife of 30 or 40 years, whatever it was. He said, and frankly, I just want to go to Florida and get out of here. I'm done. And he said, and the first person that can give me $75,000, I'll take it and run. I don't want to wait around. And I said, got yourself a deal. We closed on that deal about 30 days later, bought the house, didn't do anything, took pictures of it, put it back on the market, and sold it for $159,000. Made about a $75,000 profit after all was said and done, all the expenses, and we did nothing but buy it as is. Do they happen every day? No. Are they great when they do? Absolutely. So that's an as-is flip. Now the next is a little more involved. It's called a repair flip. A repair flip typically is when somebody's trying to sell a house, and during the process, buyers say, I'm not going to buy the house because it needs a new roof. It needs a new hot water heater. It needs a new furnace. it needs that foundation fixed. I need the doors fixed, I want their windows repaired, whatever it might be. And the seller says, I don't have any money, I don't have any time, or I just don't care and I'm gonna walk away from this thing. We have walked in and bought those houses, turned around and made those simple repairs, put it back on the market and sold it for full market price. The most recent deal we did was we bought a house that just needed to have a new hot water heater and it had to have a back door window replaced. We did that and it cost about, I don't know, $1,000 to have these repairs done. It took a weekend. And we put that house in the market and made around a $65,000 or $67,000 profit on that one deal because we did a repair flip. Because the family that owned the house, their mother had went to assisted living and the family was all out of the state and they wanted nothing to do with it. It became a headache. See, people will sell to get rid of headaches. And you can flip that house to other people. These are end buyers we flipped the house to that came and got a mortgage. It took 60 days to close, but we made a great income for that. And that leads to the HGTV type of flip. This is the one that we all see that they have made so common because they've just been on TV for a decade and a half or 2 decades now. And that's when you cosmetically flip a house. When you cosmetically flip a house, you simply put new floors, you paint it, you put new kitchen cabinets, kitchen counters, you put new bathroom vanity, toilets, sinks, and clean it up. If it needs new windows, you put new windows in. Those are all cosmetic things that in many small towns may or may not even require a permit to do. So anybody can really do those and get that work done. Those types of flips are very good, and that's more common to find. Where they're really common is when you find estate sales or people that have not updated their house in many, many years and they need to be updated. Maybe the family's passed away or they've moved on, or the house is vacant, they've fallen on hard times. They're what I call a motivated seller. It's a vacant house, they're out-of-state owners. There are a lot of reasons why they want to sell, but they sell a house to someone like us or you who comes in and does cosmetic repairs and then fixes that house, puts it back on the market as a new shiny house and sells that house typically to first-time buyers, maybe second-time buyers, but they're beautiful homes that have been renovated. Now, those can usually profit. It depends on your market, but usually about anywhere from a 10 to a 20 to 25% profit margin on the end sale price. So if you're selling in Denver, Colorado, and the house is $1 million, you might make 8% or $80,000 profit on that. If you're in the upstate New York market where we are, we make around a 20% profit. So if we sell a house for $300,000, we're going to make at least $60,000. Usually lately it's more like $80,000 to $100,000 in profit in those deals. So cosmetic flips are fantastic. Then when you start getting more advanced, you can tackle what we call a full renovation. Now a full renovation means it's cosmetic, plus it's got some bad foundation work maybe. Maybe it needs a new roof. Maybe it needs a new furnace. Maybe the septic system is shot, right? These are more expensive things. Maybe the well needs to be replaced if it's on a well. And so maybe it has tree limbs or tree trunks that are growing through the sewer system. There's a lot of things that can determine what a full renovation is like, but usually it's more work. It's more trades that are needed to flip that house, and those people will come in and do the work for you if you manage this correctly, if you do this right. And the longest story short, these flips, the cosmetic flips should take, anywhere from 1 to 2 months to do the work, and total hold time is 4 to 6 months, where on a full renovation, it might take 3 to 6 months to do the work, depending on how much work you have to do, and the total hold time might be about 8 to 10 months on a property like that. But you should be able to make significant profit. It doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna make more profit than a cosmetic flip, because you're probably going to open more cans of worms on a full renovation, so you might make about the same, but it'll be more work. But it's good to have in your pool of flips that you do. And last but not least is called your value add flip. A value add flip is kind of how Amber and I cut our teeth. And back in the day when we first started, we used to take little 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,000-foot bungalow houses that were built in the 1940s. They were always usually outdated. We'd buy them, the attics were vacant, but they had to walk upstairs, or we'd install stairs, and then we would convert that to a master suite, or it's now called an ensuite apparently. I still call it a master suite, but that's what it is. And so we would convert that to a bedroom and a bathroom that was a master suite upstairs. Beautiful addition to a small house. Now we had a 1,500 square foot house, and we added value, so it's a value add flip. We added square footage, added a bathroom, added value to that house, and now that house is worth more money. Those are about the same length of time as a full renovation, usually less headache than a full renovation flip, but at the end of the day, around the same profit margin. You should be making around that 20% profit margin. Again, depends where in the country you are. But those are the 5 different kinds of flips when you're flipping a house. Hopefully that gives you an idea of what flipping a house actually means now. It's flipping a house multiple different ways. And if you're going to be a house flipper, it's good to know all of them because we call that an exit strategy. The more exit strategies you have, the better investor and flipper you're going to be. Because if you get a lead in, you want to say, here's a lead that I paid for. How can I convert this lead to money? If you have multiple ways to turn a lead to money, that's how you build a real flipping business. Anyone can do any one of these methods with the right support. You have to get coaching, you have to get training. You can try and do it yourself like Amber and I did, but it's the school of hard knocks and you will pay for it. You're either going to pay for coaching and learning or you're going to pay for it with the school of hard knocks and time and losses. That's how Amber and I paid for it, and it's not a fun way to learn. But if you have the right support, you can do this at whatever level you want to. If you want to do a few deals a year, great. The easier flips, if you're flipping contracts, and they're not necessarily easy, but they're less risky, right? Flipping a contract or flipping as is or cosmetic flips, those are typically easier to work with, and you can do more of those in the course of a year if you choose to. The heavier ones, as you get more involved with value adds and full renovations, you'll do less of those per year. But the bottom line is you can build a business plan for yourself that can help you bring in significant extra income. And the one that we want to talk about that I hope you spend some time and look through our channel and learn about is taking those and turning them into rental properties. Flip them to yourself. That's the best flip I could ever train you on, is flip a house to yourself and own that long term. That will make you a multi-millionaire if you just continue to do that month after month, year after year. Flipping houses to yourself is the way to really build true wealth. Look, all this stuff is great, but none of it matters if you don't know how to run the numbers. And in this next video, I'm gonna show you how to run the numbers so you can decide what exit strategy is best for you. You're gonna learn things like ARV, how to determine the after repair value, how to determine the repair costs, and how to determine what's called your MAO, your maximum allowable offer. In other words, how much can you offer on that property? And then if you get it low enough, what are your exit strategies? We've learned this over 20 years of blood, sweat, and tears putting this whole system together. We still use it every day to buy over 100 houses a year with our company, and I'm gonna give that to you today as my gift to you for just being here and staying to the end of this video. So I hope you enjoy it. The video is right here. If it's not here, the link to it is right here in the description below. Hope you enjoy it. It's from me to you.